Hey there. Welcome to The Simple Podcast. I'm Todd C. Slater, the Simple Investor. Every single week I try to put together some narrative of what's being discussed with real estate. And of course, in Canada, you've got all sorts of politicians making it their main goal. Gee, it's amazing how it took so long for some of these politicians to actually get on the soapbox about housing. Housing has been a train wreck for many, many years. And the most recent government in place for the last 9 has just done nothing but, poop the bed. So when we take a look at the big picture, you've got a minority government in power, but remains in power. And why? How is it that these guys remain in power? Well, you know what? This guy here seems to think that they should stay in power. But it's so funny. The backstabbing that happens, but yet he'll sit there and vote with Trudeau on everything where if he stopped voting with him, guess what? We could turn around and force election. But this guy decided to hop on the soapbox when he's out on the East Coast and start talking about housing, which is going to be kind of tongue-in-cheek because he's the same guy that owns multiple investment properties, multiple, watches that are in the tens of thousands of dollars. He doesn't have a, humble bone in his body, but let's see what he has to say about housing.
Sadly, people are so squeezed, they can barely keep their head above water. I have a message. I want to make it very clear. This is not your fault. This is a result of a rigged system, rigged by liberals and conservatives to allow corporate landlords to rip you off, to rent evict you, to jack up rents, to put in place fixed lease terms that...
Okay, I'm going to stop him right there because when we talk about the provinces are responsible for all aspects of their landlord-tenant board, okay? Not the federal government. So him sitting there going after, hey, look, anybody can go after Trudeau and Pierre all they want. As far as I'm concerned, go have at it. Go play in the playground and beat each other up. Hey, you know what? Throw some mud pies at each other because that's exactly the level that you guys are at. But when you start bringing up rent evictions and you start talking about this, do you really think that that's the problem here? It's such a minute number. So to give you an idea, in Ontario, when you turn around and there's 75,000 files that are current in the LTB, and 70,000 of them are for non-payment of rent, but you're saying that this is all based on greedy landlords, corporate landlords? This guy's full of it, okay? And you know what? Let's see what else he has to say, because he doesn't have solutions. He's just looking for trouble.
Again, rip off tenants, rip off people. This is a rigged system. And Justin Trudeau has had 9 years to fix this problem. He hasn't fixed it. Things have gotten worse. In fact, they've gotten so worse that rents have gone up by $1,600 here in Halifax. In fact, for the people that are struggling right now and not able to find a home, that are struggling with homelessness, more than 1 out of 5 of those folks are on the streets as a result of either rent evictions or fixed.
Okay, hang on. No. You don't know where your number source comes from, clearly. And so you can sit there and say 1 in 5 homeless people is from rent evictions. How about you close the effing borders, okay? When you add 3 million to a company, 10% almost of the population you add, and you expect to house them when you don't build any extra houses, okay? That's not the source. That's not how it's going to happen. When you sit there and talk about, the ability for people to pay rent, look, the majority of all provinces have rent control in place. So the landlord's not jacking it up. You're just fishing so you can turn around and stir up your typical bullshit that you can't back up because you have no facts and no proper figures, as usual, as you keeping this government in power. You know what? I blame you for half the housing problem. Let's see what else you have to say.
Term leases. It directly result of those policies. And what would Pierre Poilievre do? Well, Pierre Poilievre wants even less rules, wants to let his corporate buddies rip you off even more.
Wow, that was factual. Yeah, he wants them to rip off more. Where are your facts? That's right. I forgot. You're the leader of a party with no numbers behind you. And, asking you for a solution is, well, kind of a joke. But let's find out what you truly have to say about this. Do you have a solution, Mr. Singh?
I'm just wondering if you could speak a bit about the specific ways that you're going to protect renters, that your party, if it forms government in the next federal election, plans to protect renters, as the sign here says today.
Yeah, so there's lots of ways we can do it. One concrete example is the federal government gives insurance, CMHC, so government-backed insurance to large corporate landlords, gives them a special tax treatment, gives them direct financial assistance. We're saying not a cent of that money will go to a company that rips off renters. Not a cent of that public money would go to someone that renovates. And we know that these companies, these corporate landlords, take federal support and then go out and renovate, or go out and jack up rents, or bring in fixed term leases. We could leverage the federal resources that we have, the agreements we have with provinces and municipalities, leverage those agreements to say, you need to ban rent evictions, you need to ban fixed term leases. And
okay, but hang on for a second. Hang on. He wants to ban rent evictions, but what he should be saying is that if a corporate landlord's going to renovate, they have to at least place the tenant in, something that's suitable and affordable. See, this is where this guy talks out of both sides of his mouth. Okay, and he always has, and that's why he will never get in power. And the fact that there was actually a reporter there that actually had the guts to turn around and look at this guy and say, "If you form the next government," I mean, come on, everybody was on the floor laughing their asses off at that. If you form the next government, that's not going to happen. Maybe when pigs fly, but you know what? Here's the thing: they don't have any solutions. Let's listen to his main one, because this is where we're going to be getting into big trouble.
And municipalities make that happen.
On the topic of housing and homelessness as well, one potential solution that's been suggested by fellow MP Andy Fillmore is to convert some of the Canada Post lands here in Halifax into housing for those who can't afford housing. I don't know if you've spoken much on that specific suggestion, but would you care to share your opinion on that suggestion?
I believe we should be using every piece of federal land that is available to develop affordable homes. My concern with the Liberals, they have started using some federal land, but the majority of what's being built on that federal land, so land owned by the public, owned by all of us, is not affordable. They're using federal land to build market housing, which is not going to help someone who can't afford. Even some of the good job can't afford what the going rate is for a condo or a house right now.
Okay. You know what? Enough of him. We don't need to hear from him anymore. The truth is that our big problem with this guy and the majority of the solutions out there that they're trying to provide, I don't know if anybody's swung by Toronto Community Housing lately, but the fact that you could have 10,000 units that are not habitable because they just let them fall into disarray. This is what he's going to build for people, okay? He's going to turn around, and you want to use some existing government properties. You know what's going to happen? We're just going to create slums. Because the problem is that you don't have like-minded people. You're talking about housing for affordability, great. But you're not putting anything behind it. You're not putting any kind of rules, regulations, management of any form. You go, look at us. We just gave 1,000 units into the marketplace and they're all trash within 6 months because you are not approaching this correctly, okay? You need to turn around and have a whole lot better system in place. This guy isn't the answer for anything. The only answer that he's trying to derive is hang in long enough so his pension will go to full tilt. And that's why he's let the Liberals get away with murder and will until the next election. If he really had Canada's interest at heart, he would have turned around and toppled this government already and turned around and made something happen for Canadians. Supportive Canadians? I doubt it. Supportive of himself? 100%. I'm pretty sure there's a new watch coming out that he's looking at, wants for his retirement party. listen, when it comes down to you, retirement, your kids, your next gen, we've got to watch out for each other, okay? Guys like this aren't going to do it. If you like this, please make sure you turn around and subscribe. Always looking for everybody's opinion on what you think of some of these asshats that are trying to sit there and say they're looking out for Canadians. Not even close. He's one of the least Canadians I've ever met, other than, of course, our dear Prime Minister. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. I'm Todd C. Slater.